control of your health, and take control of your body. Start with balance of energy. Give it a shot. You won't be sorry.
Ready?
Mhm.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we're going to talk about DeSantis and also the trip that was made to Tampa with the host that we have tonight. We're going to talk about some of the things that went on down in Tampa. First, we'll go to our host, Bill Snow, who is the author of the great book, From the Project to the Boardroom. We have Mr. Derek Scott, who is chair of the Escambia County Democrat Party, along with the Black Caucus. We have Jill Lewis Daggs, who is the Okaloosa State Committee. Also, Christina Forrest, who is with the Democrat Party in Santa Rosa County. So we're going to get started, y'all. Derek, Christina, y'all, whichever one of y'all want. Go ahead, Jill. You're going to talk about the trip down in Tampa.
So good evening, everyone. We are excited to be here. We're going to share with you a trip that we took down to Tampa, to Ybor City, I believe is where I was, with the Democratic Women's Club of Florida. They had a fundraising event, and it was an exciting time. We drove down early in the morning. We met at my house 4 o'clock, I think it was in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. It was just early. I don't know what time it was. We drove 7 hours. Our co-hosts, Christina Forrest, Derek Scott, and then a friend of ours, Tony, came with us. And I'm going to let Christina share a little, then Derek, and then I'll close it up.
So I just wanted to say it was absolutely phenomenal. We got to hear some fantastic leaders from across the state, those who are holding office and those who hope to hold office in the future. Michael Blake was the keynote speaker, and let me tell you, he brought the house down. He was just absolutely phenomenal. Michael Blake is former DNC or Democratic National Committee Vice Chair. He's former New York Assembly member, and just an absolute powerhouse. And it was so great to be in a place that was absolutely affirming, uplifting women, and to be there with our brothers and sisters in the same fight. And I'm just really, really grateful for that moment and to be able to be a part of that. And this is all new to me. I'm a new president of the Santa Rosa County Democratic Women's Club. And so this was actually one of my first events statewide as president. And this was absolutely amazing, phenomenal event. And to the state president, Mary, great job. We heard at least 5 or 6 speakers, and every single one of them uplifting women, talking about our fight and talking about the pathway forward. And we are not alone.
Let me congratulate you on becoming chair, president of the Women Club. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Without the help of Jill Lewis Daggs and Derek Scott, that would not have been possible, as well as the help from the state. So I am just grateful, and I'm grateful for everybody who helped stand and keep the Democratic Women's Club in Santa Rosa County running. And I'm very honored and proud to be that president. So thank you.
Derek, we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, you just say, this is going to be, for those I know they're going to say something like, you shouldn't say. So I'm going to keep it, because you know me, and people who know me know some of my thoughts and feelings on certain things, right? So here recently, I found myself, a little bit more involved with the Democratic Women's Clubs than I have in the past. What was refreshing, I'm going to echo Christina's comments in the fact that it was inspiring to see and hear from Michael Blake. Some of the other speakers. We also had our very own congressional candidate here in CD1 who's running to unseat Matt Gaetz, Gabe Valamont, who did an awesomely phenomenal job in her address to those who were in attendance. My biggest takeaway is being in that room in the Democratic Women's Club, and I'll say historically, we've been in the Panhandle counties, interacted with them. You haven't seen many people who look like us, right? They're far and few between. They might have one or two people in each one of the organizations. I saw tables that were representative of chapters that had everybody at their table was someone Black. And I literally have never seen that before in my life. I didn't think it existed. I thought it was a unicorn, to fact, but I'm glad to see the Democratic Women's Club making progress and strides. And I think that's a true testament to that is seeing Christina Forrest as president in Santa Rosa County of the Democratic Women's Club. That's just a couple of things that, I think monkeys might have had to have flown before in the past to see that happen. But to see it now, I am happy to see it. And that's not to say that Christina isn't capable. I love Christina to death. It's just, for real, it's not people that look like her in this part of the Panhandle are presidents of the DWC, nor are they members for the most part. So, I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see the progress. And I'm happy, even more excited to see how well they did in spite of. And that's what I'm going to say. For those who are watching, they had some adversities. And with that, in spite of people's malintent, they still did well. So it's a true testament to see what's meant for evil will always turn into something good, and God don't like that. And that's what I'll say about it. So I appreciate it. It was a great experience.
Thank you both. What I would say is you guys are right. It was, I have been with the Democratic Women's Club for about 10 years, I think. And it is refreshing to see what you see at the state level. It is honestly a difficult walk in our areas because, like he said, there's one or two people of color. And knowing now that we have Christina as the president in Santa Rosa, we have Escambia coming up soon. Hopefully we'll get nice diversity. It's not that you just need to see people that look like us. We need to see people that look like us and people that don't look like us. But what we really need to see is them getting along and working together, that there is a true unity and not the coffee club of the elderly other people, but that we're coming together, we're working together, and we're really trying to build a future here in Northwest Florida. I know we're going to talk about the political realm, but if we can't get along with each other, if we can't realize that we are different, and different is good, and that there's a reason to work together, that's some of the things that were clear, very, very, very clear last night with the speakers that spoke. They called out all the issues, the true issues, rent and gun violence and insurance and healthcare, the things that matter. And they matter no matter what you look like. They matter whatever or doesn't matter what your economical position is. They matter. And if we can focus on that, and then when we have candidates, like Derek said, we have our very own CD1 candidate, Gabe Valamont. She shared her very, very difficult story of losing her husband and her son within 6 months. And she didn't give up. And she came back, and I don't know. I've been through a lot. I've never been through that. Can't even imagine. but I don't know that my fight would have been, I want to come and beat Matt Gaetz. And she put everything on the line and has said, you know what, I'm coming to CD1 and I'm here fighting for you. And so what I would say to those of us that are in Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and part of Walton County, we've got to make sure that she gets the opportunity to win. And the way you do that is by registering to vote. It's by getting educated. It's by donating to her campaign and supporting her. And I think that was the energy that was there. Like, it's not too late. We won with Keene in House District 35. We've got some great news for Jerry's going to share with us what's going on now in Florida. And yet we still have the fight of our life. Don't be fooled that this is going to be easy, because this will be the absolute fight of your life. But sometimes you need to go to Ybor City, see chickens and trees, which we actually saw. Never seen in our life. Christina's like, I've never seen chicken and trees. And I'm trying to turn my head to see, why are there chicken and trees? See an organization that you weren't sure that that really understood the fight of all people. And yet you walked in that room and you saw it at every single table. You saw it in that room. You saw it in the speakers. And we know that that opportunity is out there. So I would just say, don't give up, but don't be fooled. Jerry?
Just want to thank y'all for going down and bringing back this information, some good news for a change. But some better news, not better news, well, some good news. DeSantis, we know, is dropping out of this race, then dropped out of the race. So, but the sad part is he coming back, to the state of Florida. And to me, that should not have happened. You know, everybody else had to give up their seat to run for a higher office. And so now he has the opportunity, because of the legislative changing laws, he have the opportunity to come back here and serve out his term. And possibly, I don't know if he will or not, he might try to run again as the governor. We don't know. But the thing about it, Valdemia, if he's still governor, Valdemia should still be Congress. You know, all the other people that ran that had to give up their position to run for higher office or another office had to end up giving up their seat. Bill?
Yeah, there's optimism and pessimism. We're already screwed, but it's no sense in the whole country being. So I didn't think he had a true shot before he threw his hat in the race, to be frank with you. And the country showed him just what they thought of him, and that is good news. But hey, we're suffering. We will continue to suffer. But that clown will not be the president, not in the next election anyway, and that is really, really good news. We still have the two left there, and I still forecast that fellow will not be the Republican nominee.
Jill, I know you were waiting on that prediction.
I would like for Bill Snow to share with us, how do you see that vision happening?
You know what? I'm not quite sure if it will be the convictions. I'm not sure. I don't wish any real ill as far as health or something tragic happening. I'm not quite sure. I just don't think that I don't see it. I mean, yeah, he'll win New Hampshire and he'll go destroy her in South Carolina. And for all intents and purposes, it will look like he is headed forward. And for all intents and purposes, it does look like he will be, but I just don't see it.
So Christina, what's your thoughts?
Right now, my thoughts are that every turn is looking like he's going to be the nominee. as it stands right now. The issue with the convictions, that's huge. Whether or not he's going to be on the ballot in every state, that's huge. So there are a lot of I don't knows in that. I'm really interested to see where he's going with who he would choose for a running mate. I'm very interested in that. And second place, it would be Nikki Haley. So I think those are the two options right now. But right now, as it stands on this moment, on the 21st of January, it is looking like Donald Trump.
It does.
So Bill, I love your optimism. I really do. And I hope some of what you say comes true. Some of the other stuff you and Vernon like with the guns and stuff, I'm not quite there. Don't know if I'll ever get there. But
one day you will appreciate that.
I will, and I will be right there behind you and Jerry going, yeah, I'm running another way. But yeah, I will appreciate it, I promise. I think it does absolutely matter who, if Trump becomes the nominee, and like she said, on the 21st of January, and the prediction with all of the other candidates that have gotten out, and they have all endorsed him. That means that if you are a true, if we think of it like sports, if you're a Gator fan, you're a Gator fan no matter what. So if the Gators say do this, that's what you're going to do. If you're an FSU fan, that's what you're going to do. If you're a Cowboys fan, after you cry a little bit, you're going to do whatever you got to do. And so if that's the case, then their followers would then be pushing towards Trump because they've all endorsed him. Now, they didn't endorse him as, at least for DeSantis, he didn't say, hey, he's a great guy and he's fabulous. What he did say is that I promise that if I wasn't the nominee, that I would support the nominee. And at this point, it looks like it's going to be Trump. So I'm supporting Trump. I think it'll be interesting to see how Nikki Haley maneuvers and when she calls it quits and or says, no, I'm going all the way to the end. So it's really going to be, does she have the money? Does she have the backing? And does she really want to stay in it all the way? Or does she, like everybody else, want to go and say, hey, if I get out and I say I'm supporting him, then I have a high chance of him looking at me for his VP. And that's where they all are sitting right now. They're all sitting, except for her, right at this moment, waiting for him to say, which one of you, you know how he is, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because that's how he's going to do it. It's not like it's going to be strategic.
No real vetting.
No, it's going to be something, and he's just going to be like, you're the one. Jerry McIntosh, you want to be my VP? You know what I mean? It's that crazy. So I think that's what we're watching. We're watching to see, when does Nikki Haley say, hey, I want the chance at VP, or do I want to fight this to the end and hope that there's some sanity in the Republican Party somewhere that will that somehow will, I don't even know what they have to do. There's so many people that want him. There's so much momentum that way that I'm not quite sure what she would do. But Bill, if your prediction could be right on this one, I sure hope it is.
There obviously isn't any sanity over there, but I will say that I did say over a year ago that I really, if they were going to have someone, I would rather it be him because we can whip him. And the Republicans know it. DeSantis has stated it. He said that that's what the Democrats wanted, and we can beat this guy. I know we can beat it. We've done it.
Derek, how do you feel about it?
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is I think going forward, every week we should have a 5-minute segment on Bill's predictions. And we'll figure out what we're gonna start tracking these things to see what occurs, right?
You can track it, my friend, but I promise you, after it comes to fruition, then you're gonna really want to build predictions.
Right. We're gonna be like, and I'm sure we're gonna have to track because as soon as it happens, you'll be like, wait, we're gonna start the show. Let's skip to it. I know you're right.
Lois Pruitt on our Facebook stream says she's with me on this one.
So, I can't. I don't know that. Well, let's just say there's no senility in the Republican Party at this time, right? So to say that there's going to be a process that's going to be sound in how Trump chooses his VP running mate, but I guess maybe I should take a step to bridge back because I think Derek's prediction is that Trump is going to be on the ticket for the Republican Party for the presidential candidate, and he will pick some person, right? Whether it's Nikki Haley or one, I don't think it'll be any of the male contenders that vie for the presidential nomination. I don't see that happening. At least not when I see the male. I see DeSantis and Ramaswamy. Right? I don't see that. But stranger things have happened. Donald Trump became president. So
Amen.
Here's where we are. But it's going to be. I think whatever it is going to be we're in for a fight, and we have to fight. And it's going to take all of us. And I take a little bit of a different approach from Jill, where we all have to get along, work with each other. I don't have to like you at all, but what I do have to do is make sure that we share the common goal, and that's to get Democrats elected and make sure that Trump and whomever stays out of office. That's our goal, and that's what we should be focused on. I don't have to like you. I don't have to stand you. You can't stand me. You don't have to stand me. I'm fine with that. But can we work on this common goal unified, to get us down to that thing? And I think that's where it's going to come.
Yes. So here's what I'm going to say. I didn't say anything about anybody liking each other. That's the first thing. I really didn't, because this is where I'm at. That would be great in a happy world, and that happens when you go to heaven. Right. Here on Earth, that's not what I don't see unity always as everybody's just all in love. What I do see unity as is I'm gonna use my little puzzle pieces because we're all puzzle pieces. And if you're a puzzle piece and you're to be played, that's why you're here. You're to be utilized. You have a purpose in life, and that purpose needs to be fulfilled. And you as a puzzle piece have to link with the people next to you. You don't have to like them. You just have to link. You can't stay in your square boxes. If you look at puzzle pieces, they're not squares. Puzzle pieces have those little things sticking out that link them together. We've got to link together long enough between now, January 21st, and November is 8th. What date is the election, Christina?
I think it is.
It's in November. That's how long I need everybody to work together. So I was the HR director in automotive, and I used to tell the union, this is what I need you to do. My union workers, 5 o'clock in the morning, you come onto this plant, and before you get into the parking lot, you hang up whatever your issues are. I don't care who you don't like. I don't care what you don't want to do. I don't care. You come to work and you work. And when you leave, take it back off the lamppost, take it home. If you want to shoot darts at the person, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But in this house, we're going to get along and we're going to do the work that needs to be done. So what I would say for the state of Florida and the United States, if you don't want Trump where he is fast moving to, then we have to decide. You don't have to like each other. You just have to work, like Derek just said, to the goals that are going to get us where we need to get to so that we can have safety for our family, our children, and that we can have the things that are needed. Insurance, safety, teachers' pay, books that tell our history. insurance so
And
that
we
you
did
can?
that by November 5th is
Okay,
the
November.
general election.
So on November 8th, like I said, on November 8th, if you want to go back to I don't like so-and-so and I don't like so-and-so, guess what? If we don't do this right, you're not gonna have to worry, because you know what? Trump, I know it's on the 5th. I'm saying they have 3 days to get over it and then they got to figure out their life. But if we don't do this right and Trump is the president, you're not gonna have to worry who you hate, because he's gonna already hate you. And he'll be working on how to put you wherever he wants you, on whatever island, in whatever place, take away all of your history, take away your money, take away your insurance. You'll have nothing. And it won't just be you, it'll be you and your neighbors. And I just don't think that's where we want to be. I say, like Derek said, I'm going to say it in a nice way, we're going to be unified. I didn't say anything about liking each other. You come to wherever we are, we work together to get the goals done that need to be done. Put a smile on your face, or those people have to see you, but you don't have to like us. We don't have to like you, but it's always better if we do. But you know what? That's not where we're at right now, because Trump doesn't like any of us. That's the reality.
You don't even have to put a smile on your face. Just come and do
You
the
put
work.
a smile on your face so the other people will want to register to vote. If you don't put a smile, if I look at you like
For
this,
that,
they're not going to come in and want to be a part of it.
yes. You
Yes,
do
I'm not
put a
talking
smile
about
on your
the
face.
Derek. You don't have to like Derek.
I'm not talking about with the I'm talking about with the poll.
No, but if Jerry comes in, I'd like you to smile so Jerry wants to register to vote and he wants to get educated.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they're going to be like, this is evilness and I'm walking out. I'm just saying, for those that need to be enveloped in, educated, and to help us, we've got to give them the best we have inside of yourself. You have to.
So
So
go ahead, Christine.
So I'm going to pivot just a little bit. So Jill, thank you for bringing up the dates of the election. So on March 19th, that is the presidential preference primary. And so I can only speak for Santa Rosa County. I haven't checked with the rest of the state, the rest of the counties. For Santa Rosa County, if you are a Democrat at the convention, at the Florida State Convention, the folks there voted that Biden was the nominee. So Biden already moves forward. So if you are a Democrat in Santa Rosa County on March 19th, there is nothing for us to vote for because Biden already moves forward. The only folks in Santa Rosa County who are going to have a ballot are going to be the Republicans, who have somebody to choose for. Then that person will go forward towards the general election. August 20th is our primary election. So that's when we're going to have all of our other races really super important to get out. Again, that's August 20th. November 5th is our general election. That means we're going to be seeing whoever won the primary for the Republicans versus Biden. And that's how that's going to look. So I just want to put that out there. So those are the 3 dates coming up for elections for this year. Again, March 19th, presidential preference. August 20th is the primary. November 5th is our general election here in Florida. In other states, you have different dates, but the general election will always be on November. Well, the general election across the U.S. will be on November 5th.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this. Anybody can answer. Now, Nikki Haley advanced Tim Scott to the Senate, appointed him to the Senate, brother. What do y'all think about what he did to drop the knife in her back by endorsing Trump? What, anybody can answer. What y'all thinking?
Politics is a dirty game. You know, they are all shooting for, honestly, who's going to be vice president. And that's the game. That's the game he was playing. And, you know, as far as her, you know, like, I don't have any love for her. I don't look at her as, She took Trump's whole platform and took it to NATO, took his platform and took it internationally.
Right.
So I'm not okay with her either. So whatever happens with them kind of happens with them. And I mean, this is what Republican politics really looks like.
Is no
They're buying for that VP position. They're looking at where the money is, where it's going, and they also want to be reelected within their own state. So if they look at their electorates, they're going to see, hey, most of the folks here really want Trump to win, so that's where I'm going. Because if I'm not the VP, I still want to be able to come back to where I'm sitting today.
Okay. You know, I was thinking about that today when I saw that DeSantis turn around. You know, he said, you know, in order to, so I can't the exact words, but he said you have to kiss the ring of Donald Trump, you know, in order to get along with Donald Trump. And then I guess he turned around and kissed the ring of Donald Trump by endorsing him over Nikki Haley. And it seemed that, you know, both of them both of the guys were making sure that she didn't come out of New Hampshire with any you know, momentum behind her. So, which you're right. I'm not, you know, I don't care anything about her either, but because her and Tim Scott said that, you know, there's no racism in America and never has been, you know, and I'm like, okay, well, Donald Trump just started doing your birthday thing like he did President Obama. And now he
Well,
missed, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been feeling like this, and it was great to hear someone else say it just this weekend. Michael Blake said, if there was no racism, then Nimrata would be Nimrata. But she's not Nimrata, she's Nikki. So,
Right.
you know, why if you ain't worried about racism, then use your name.
Exactly.
Your mom and daddy didn't give you name you Nikki. They named you Nimrod. So that should be the name that you so choose to use. Now,
Nikki is her middle name.
You're not worried about it. Huh?
Nikki is her middle name.
Is it?
No.
I think it's Nimrod or Nikki. I'm almost certain.
Nah, Nimrod is the
We got our
Nimrata.
fact checker,
Nikki
Christina, back this
is the
week.
name in quote.
Got our
Is the
fact
name
checker
in
here.
quotation.
Christina's here.
That's that quotation. That's the quotation name. That's not her middle name.
Yeah.
But like another one, like Ted Cruz.
Right.
That name Raphael. Name ain't Ted. So if you're not worried about it, then Raphael, you should be. Why are you calling yourself something else? You know, it is what it is. But you can't pee on my leg and say it's raining. You know, and I know you don't believe that. I know, Tim Scott, you don't believe that there's no racism. I just don't believe it. You sound crazy. But whatever, it is what it is.
Anybody say what Tim Scott says no racism, but then he said, you know, in Washington D.C. he was pulled over by some racist cop. But it's not. There is no racism in America. It never has been. You know, but it's always amazing to me that they find these kind of Negroes that run around talking about there's no racism, and there.
Right.
When this country was found on racism and genocide.
And he's contradicting himself, because I do recall when he dropped out of the race, you know, they were challenging him on his marital status and whether he was gay or not gay, right? And he himself said, I don't think they're worried about me being gay. I think they're worried about me being black. Well, what is that called? If it's not racism, then what do you define that as? It's like, You
Republican Party,
colorblindness?
that's
I'm
worse.
confused. You said
So
what?
I just wanted to point out that I was wrong and Bill Snow was right. That
Oh, oh.
that her name is Nikki is her middle name. It is Nimrata Nikki Randhawa at birth, and then Haley is her married name. But I had read somewhere else that Nikki was her nickname, but it is actually her legal middle name. Nimrata Nikki
All right then.
Randhawa is what she was born. Haley, she became Haley when she got married.
Hey, Bill Snow, you were right.
I don't gloat in being right.
You don't have to go. You can take this one because we don't think you'll be right on
Yeah.
that. So you can add this one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
You
figure
take this one because when you're wrong, we're gonna be like, you wasn't right.
I would also say, I hope you guys don't get mad at me, but
Don't get
if you remember, no, because Christina said that's how Republican politics. That's not Republican politics. Do you guys remember? Don't get mad at Christina. When Joe Biden was up there with Kamala and Kamala hit below the belt and she just, I mean, she went at it. And then he still picked her for his vice. So I'm just saying, they know it is a political realm. So in your political realm, you do what you have to do. And if you do what you're supposed to do, somebody could still pick you. I'm just saying. So I'm not making it okay. I don't like Nikki. I definitely don't like Trump. But what I'm saying is Tim did what he had to do because he wants to be the VP now. He probably very much appreciates everything that Nikki did for him. However, his next step in his political life is what he would like it to be is VP. And she right now is not the one who can help him get there. So therefore, in his eyes and what he's seeing, and on January 21st, it's not Nikki, it's Trump. So he did what he had to do to make sure, just like DeSantis did, you know, it killed him to say those words. And he picked them very carefully, but it killed him to say it. My fear is tomorrow they're back in session. Does he bring that wrath of hell to them on the floor? Because you know he's mad. They done send him back home. We hate that he has a home to come to, but he does. And Sessions is back in session tomorrow. What is he going to do? Because right now, everything that's been presented is issues. Does he go back on the warpath to attack LGBTQ and Black people and Asians and just everything?
And Black studies and DEI and all of the things that affect Black people, and whether it's in school or college, banning books and all of that, he supports. And as you talked about earlier, when I was at the down in Tampa, you were talking about healthcare and insurance and all of that. None of that is going to be talked about in the legislative session. He's going to try to control that as much as possible to keep people from even thinking about that. And that's why he started all these culture wars. So all his friends can get big contracts and all of that, and they don't have to worry about anybody challenging them on these state contracts or local city and county contract, because all of them are in cahoots together, taking advantage of everything, while the rest of us is paying out of our nose, whether it's on insurance, whether it's healthcare, whether it's educational, all of the things that should be focused on is not being focused on because of he going back to play these culture wars. And like Jill said, they sent him back home, and now he's going to be really, really, foaming and at the mouth right about now. And he probably already there. He probably already trying to figure out what he's going to do tomorrow in the legislative session. And I'm wondering is, all of these guys that went with him and pushed him and made sure that he was able to come back home if he lost the election, will he have the power to influence them as much as he did before? You about to
Absolutely, without a doubt, he absolutely will. So the Republicans still hold a supermajority. You know, DeSantis said, you know, when we talk about redistricting and everything like that, you know, they had come up with a semi-fair plan that everybody agreed with. DeSantis threw the whole thing out and pushed through his whole gerrymandered maps, and that was last time. So
Right.
this time he absolutely is coming back with a vengeance. He is absolutely, I think whatever bills we were concerned about seeing, I think we need to be even more concerned now. I think any progress, any bipartisanship that was being made, even slight, we have to worry about that going out the window now. So because his full attention is now going to be on what's going on in Florida. And so that he can stand up. And I wouldn't doubt that he is still vying for a VP position as well. You have two folks coming out of Florida. So yeah, he is doing everything he can to lay that groundwork. And his ambition has no limits.
Wouldn't even surprise me if he came to try to enact a law for governors of Florida to get total immunity.
And I would add that I think with the bipartisan things, Christina, I think that if there's any of them, because there are some that he'll let go through, but he's going to let them go through tied to what he wants. I think before where sometimes they could sneak some, not really sneak, but there were some things that the Republicans were like, oh, okay, we'll let that one go because they got to let something go. That I think now they're going to tie it to, we'll let that go if you sign this, or you let us wrap these wordings into it. Nothing's going to be a freebie. And it wasn't before, but if you understand what I'm saying, there were some that they were like, yeah, that doesn't really bother us. It doesn't take away from what we're doing. We'll let that pass. And they did that last year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to say, no, you need to add this, or if we're going to sign that, then they need to sign this. Or not that they have to sign off on any of it because they got a super majority, but I think he's going to wrap his wording into it because he can. And they're going to have to choose just like his Republican counterparts do, because some of them, somebody in there, I'm absolutely sure is a good person somehow, some way. But what happens is they write something. I mean, you can't say everybody's bad because everybody's not bad, but they write something and he won't sign off on it unless you sign off on his. And there's some good in it, so they just do it. And I think that's the game he's going to play more so than to make us look bad, to make us look like, see, they even agreed with me. They agreed with this. They agreed with that. Well, you signed off on it. It was your bill. Let's say if Bill was in the House, it was your bill. You said it would, you needed it. So we signed off on it. Now you need to do this. And then, we just have to be strong enough and supportive enough. I think this is going to be a legislative session that if you can't go to Tallahassee, you definitely can write. And I'm going to say not just write to our congressional people that need to be woken up like Gates, but to those that are fighting, like Nixon and Driscoll and all of them on the floor and Escamont, all of them. They're going to need to know that we appreciate them. They're going to need a card that says, I know today was a rough day, but we support you and we thank you. They're going to need that more than ever now.
So do we have people that I guess, or they're going to be the Democrat Party, members of the Democrat Party that's writing to these representatives, or just anybody?
I think we should. I mean, I'm sure I would say whether you're a member of the Democratic Party, of course, you're a Democrat, but MP, and we need to give them the support. They are fighting every day for us. They take just the stories that Rep. Patricia Williams told
it's awful. Like, I don't know why you would ever run again. I'm just being honest. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could say, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to run again to fight for the people when I'm getting just slaughtered every day. They're giving true facts. They're giving information. They've done their research, because they don't just come there and say, oh, you shouldn't do that. They're telling them exactly what will happen, and it happens if you sign this bill into law. And 9 times out of 10, they've been right. The Republicans just don't care. And how many times can you take that over and over and over again, knowing every day? Just imagine if we knew every day that it's just going to be horrific, but you still got to go to work. You still got to go fight. You still got to do the research. You got to have your team research what you know they're going to just throw out, because you're fighting for us. So I'm just saying the least we can do is let them know that we appreciate it.
Exactly. I know there's a bill that would make it defamation to to accuse someone of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and this is from CBS News in Miami, and they want free speech. I mean, they're trying to stop us from having even free speech. If you say somebody is a racist, you can be charged with a defamation. Even, as if racism don't exist in America. I mean, these people are really going off the deep end. And, and I'm so happy that he couldn't take his agenda nationwide.
Yes.
Because if he did, we wouldn't have no escape to,
I almost died.
Did we hear? Go.
So I just wanted to point out, when we're talking about the Florida State House, I just want to throw a couple numbers out there. Those members that run for the Florida State House, like Anna Eskamani, Prentice Driscoll, their salary is $29,697 a year, plus per diem. That's all they make.
A year.
A year.
Wow. So what
A year.
They making.
That's all they make. So when we're talking about supporting folks who are standing up for us, these are people who are getting spat at, getting things thrown at them, have their lives, their family, everybody just plastered all over the news and everything. They're making under their base pay, under $30,000 a year to do that job, plus per diem. That's their base salary a year here in Florida. So that's why so many of the representatives are of means. That's why so many come from really rich backgrounds, so that they can pass laws that benefit them. That's why you don't see a lot of folks a lot of everyday folks running for office, because of what we have to what has to be put on the line.
Right. And, I never thought about that many of them make less than a county commissioner or city council, and some school board members and utility authority. People who have to make laws for the whole state are making less than $30,000 a year. And I was thinking at least they made about $50,000 or $60,000.
Yeah, 4,000 base pay. Just make sure that you're very clear on it's their base pay, because their per diem puts them up about that, but that's just reimbursing them for what they're expensing.
Wow. So but if they just reimbursing, they really not making any. They still at the bottom. That's wow. I never thought about it that way. That's all they made as a state representative. And I can see why people are not going into state politics here a lot of times, because it's not conducive. If you're making less than $30,000 a year, by the time you get down there, if you got to rent a place while you're down there, or have to drive, if you're from down this area, you're losing money just to be in the state legislature. unless you got some friends or something down there that you can live with, stay with until you get your own place or able to get your own place. And with the cost of living here in the state of Florida, with that kind of money, you might be, ain't no telling where you might have to rent a place then if you have to be down there in Tallahassee. That's crazy, and it seems to, I'm just surprised that the state legislators haven't raised their own salary, or is it some kind of law that don't allow them to? I'm just wondering. And I mean, they make laws on everything else. That's way out there. Derek.
That's why a lot of times the folks that go into state politics are often retired, are often have their own business or have had their own business. They're often older, and they've basically already made it. So yeah, and that's why we see so many laws benefiting these special interest groups and not benefiting people. That's part of the reason, not the whole reason.
Yeah. Hey, off subject, Nita Welcome on our Facebook stream says the VP stated on The View last week that she is afraid of the number of people supporting Trump being put back in office. She used the word afraid and was so heavily criticized. We all fear that. And then she answers Derek with saying, Nikki stated that she is Native American. However, I trust your research.
Nikki says she's Native American?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She's not Indian?
Yeah, Native, that's the same difference, isn't it?
No, I'm talking about India from India.
Oh, no. She's from here.
No,
Yeah.
I know she's from here, but I'm saying did her parents immigrate from India?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So how's she calling herself? I mean, yeah, she's an American because she was born here.
Born here.
Yeah, Native Americans was here before anybody else got here.
Absolutely.
So the people that was genocide was committed against.
Well, the Civil War wasn't even about slavery, so.
Yeah, that's true. From her vantage point, it was.
Right.
Absolutely. So, wow.
And America has never been a racist country.
So I just want to clarify, Nikki Haley, her parents are South Asian. They're from India.
Right.
That's where her family came from. And she was born here in the United States, but her family's South Asian from India.
Yeah, but Trump says she's not qualified to be president because she was, he using the birther thing again. Somebody that's parents that came here in the 40s or the 20s or something. He always talking to trying to ridicule everybody else from that came here. Their parents came here, but he always using that because that's what his fan base want, his cult want. That kind of language being used on anybody that decide to run against him. That's unfortunate. That and like I say, there's nothing about Nikki Haley that I agree with, and she only took down the flag in South Carolina because the heat. It was so hot down there on the protest was so hot, and people was killing people with cars and shooting people and all of that. So she went on, took the flag down, and before then she didn't. She thought that the flag was a nice piece of rag to hang up there.
Yeah, heritage.
Yeah, it was their heritage. So I'm just really surprised that I'm surprised that she's surprised that Trump attacking her on her family heritage.
I don't think she's surprised.
She shouldn't be.
She shouldn't be.
She shouldn't be. We're gonna turn the page. Look, y'all, the Supreme Court is talking about taking away power from the Environmental Protection Agency and things of that nature from the president of the United States that appoints these cabinet members. So that's something that we might need to look into for the next show. But I just wanted to throw that out there. They're trying to take over. They're trying to take from the American people that power that is given to the people to give to the president to protect us from the environment, the fishing deal that they are throwing on. I want to look into that a little bit more. I just want to throw that out there. Maybe for the next show we can talk about it in more detail, because there's our environment has to stay intact. Those of us who grew up in the 60s remember when you couldn't even drive down the street in the morning time if you was in the city because of the smog was so I mean, it was like a cloud over the cities, and even in that it was spreading to the suburbs. It had spread it to the suburbs and everywhere else because it was just like a cloud, and people were suffering from asthma and all kinds of things that was happening. Your eyes would be burning up in the morning time, and then you just had pollution everywhere. But the thing about it, we have to make sure that we mention this and bring it to the fore so people will look into it and be more conscious of it. But the conservative people that's on the Supreme Court now are looking to gut everything that was passed during that was something that Nixon helped bring about under the Environmental Protection Agency. He was a supporter of it. But now you got these people don't want any kind of environment protections to protect the American people. And this is a sad situation. So we need to really see what they're going to do, what kind of ruling they're going to push down to us, and make sure that we are, if we have to, everybody needs to be supporting or protesting what's taking place as far as that is concerned. Derek, I'm going to turn it over to you with the topics that you have.
Yeah. So, over the past week, we had quite an interesting week of events, but I want to spend a moment of some things that came out of this past week's Iowa. Well, let me take a step back. Before we go there, I want to ask about how did everybody's Martin Luther King holiday go? What do you all do? Do you participate in any events? And I guess I will start with Jill and then go to Mr. McIntyre.
Okay, so in Okaloosa County on Saturday in Crestview, they do a true march. So there's no parade. They march from one location to downtown. They had Reverend Samuel Hayes as their speaker. There were probably about 60 to 70 people out. I will say that Crestview is always quite brave because we always have the coldest weather. You guys always get at least 10 or 20 degrees warmer than we do on that Saturday every single year. It was not as cold as it was last year, but we were in the 30s. But he did make a point to remind us that back when Martin Luther King was marching, that they didn't worry about how cold it was. And so that we shouldn't be complaining, that we needed to really be aware of what's really at stake. And it's not how cold you are, it's everything else. So that was really a good turnout. There were two a young lady from Crestview High School and a young lady from Rocky Bayou Christian School. They both read powerful poems that they got a standing ovation. It was really powerful to see the young people there. I think the youngest person there was 10. So it was a really good turnout. And then in Fort Walton Beach on Monday, we had their MLK parade. I think they had 40 different entries. I had the honor and the blessing to be with Sabu Williams, the NAACP president here, as the commentator. And then afterwards, they went to Chester Pruitt Park, where there were hundreds of people out, different sororities, fraternities, churches, political organizations out just celebrating. And I wish we could take that energy right there and that we could funnel it into what we need going forward. So it was a good time. And I'll tell you something that I did do, because I had never been a commentator before. So I did all these facts on Martin Luther King. It was amazing how much stuff I didn't know. And I'm sharing with Sabu, and he was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I gave it to Louis James. He's like, I didn't know that. This is good. So it's always, good to know your history. I would say that. Always good to know our history and facts.
I hear you.
What about you, Mr. McIntosh?
Yeah, we were in the parade. I was matter of fact, every year I walk in the parade if it's if nothing else is happening, I'm definitely walking in the parade. I like to walk, carry the sign, because I think that we should participate. Only one thing that I think that would I think, do we have somebody something on with us? But I think that they didn't play. They don't play enough of the speeches that Martin Luther King did on that day. I think that I know next year, Rodney and I, we said we were going to make sure that we have the speeches so that people can really, especially the young people, can hear more than I have the dream speech, which they have reduced Martin Luther King to just having a dream and not talk about the things that he talked about in his after that hot day in August in '63. He talked about many other things. He talked about one of his speeches in Montgomery, Alabama. How long would prejudice blind the eyes of men? He talked about that. He was when he got killed, he was in Memphis. And before that, he was organizing the Poor People March, where he was talking about reparation and guaranteed jobs. So I think we need to get back to playing a lot of his speeches, and so that the young people can hear, because the only time when you ask the young people about Martin Luther King, he had a dream. Well, that won't get it. Martin Luther King talked about many other things as well. But not only do I like being in the parade and walking in there, seeing the young people that participate. A lot of young people are, they do their dance groups, and it's a great celebration for them. But I think we should have more of the speeches. Then I think at the end of the day, at the end of the parade, there ought to be somewhere they can go. You hear people speak about Martin Luther King at the end of that parade, and that's just me now. I'm just thinking out loud, but I think overall the parade was nice. It was huge. It was so many cars. When we got around to the front, we went all the way back to the back part of it, and people were still sitting there. They hadn't even moved yet. And I'm like, we had went around about 30. We had been over there about went around 30 minutes or so, because I think we walked about 45 minutes, because that's a mile around there in the derrick, about a mile. And by the time we got back to the back part of where everybody was starting it, some people hadn't even moved yet. So to show you how long and how big the parade was. And there was a lot of people, the spectators that was on the side. There was a lot of them out there as well. So it was back to its glorious days almost, as far as I'm concerned. But overall, it was great, and I loved it. But one last thing, Now, they have a Bridge Jubilee in Selma every year, and it's going to be the first, second, and third. Usually, it'd be the first full week in March, but this year it's like a half week, first, second, and third, and then kind of. I guess it's understandable, but not really, because I like that full week. I used to go up a lot of time on Wednesday and Thursday, and stay over, and I think they're losing a lot of money because many people used to go there and spend money in the hotels and eat and all of that. I guess they're not looking at it economically as the way they used to, but maybe they know something I don't. I don't know.
Well, I'll go I'm going to ask Christina to share, because I think it's a good segue. So she can, before I ask her to share about her Martin Luther King, and then I will ask her to share about the wonderful fabulousness that she's trying to create and plan for people in the Panhandle on that very same topic, to go experience if they have not experienced the march in Selma across the Edmund Pettus, to do that. And I'll ask her to share that. And then you can then carry on with what you did for Edmund.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Jerry McIntosh, I'm actually so glad you brought that up. So what I'm actually trying to do here through the Democratic Black Caucus is be able to get a bus. It would just be a day trip. It wouldn't be an overnight trip. That would take us from Pensacola to Selma. We would participate in worship service in Selma, and then head over to rally up over at Brown AME, hopefully participate in the parade, and then do the march over for the bridge, and then take the bus back home. Again, just a one-day event. It's Selma, so there's going to be a lot of walking. I am encouraging everybody who can come, bring your folding chair, bring some very comfortable shoes, dress in layers, because you never know how it's going to be. And it's going to be a great time. So once we get all the details with that put together, that's what we hope to do for Sunday, March 3rd, through the Democratic Black Caucus of Santa Rosa County. So super excited about that. The first Vice President, Desi, is 100% behind it. He's also the president of the NAACP. So we are working closely together to try and get that up and running. And as soon as I have more information about that, I will definitely send that out. Going in.
You said you're going to volunteer to hold the chairs, right? For those who are.
Yes, I am saying bring your folding chair that kind of go on your back, because in case we're not in the parade, you want to set up along the side and watch the parade. And before we actually cross over, when you're listening to the speakers, there's a lot of time you're just standing. So particularly for some of our elders, I definitely don't want anybody passing out, falling out. I want you as comfortable as possible. So yes, please. That is what I'm asking. So going on from that, to what we did in Santa Rosa County for Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, is incredible celebration. I do want to thank President of the NAACP, Desi Lee, and Carolyn McCrae for putting this together. It was an awesome community event. There was a prayer breakfast on Saturday, January 13th at Christian Life Church. Had a phenomenal speaker, Reverend Jeremy Rich, really brought the word and talked about are we bringing peace to our community, or are we bringing chaos? And how we can really make a difference in our community and what that looks like. And he wasn't shy about getting out and voting. He wasn't shy about bringing that message. And I just want to say it touched me, and I was so glad to hear that. Sunday, January 14th at Mount Pilgrim African Baptist Church in Santa Rosa County, Dr. Russell Wright Sr. Brought the message there. we had the MLK parade at 10 a.m. where we had 10 a.m. on Monday. I actually had to work that day, so I wasn't there, but had a large group of Democrats walk in the parade and then did the block party after. We were giving away books for youth. We were doing voter registration at the block party. And it was just an awesome, awesome time. And I do want to thank Vielkas McLeod for attending every single event and really showing up. And I want to thank Nikki Fisher. She is the new vice president for the Democratic Women's Club, who really helped get the word out. I know on Martin Luther King Day, her daughter was actually in your area, Jill. She was performing in the Fort Walton Beach parade. So I am so grateful for the team around me and for all those doing good things in our community.
I want to say before we leave and stuff, I want to thank the committee here. I know Mike Keenan and Cheryl Moran, but I don't know all the other committee people that's on that committee. But it was a well put together parade, and we have to commend them for doing that. But I just want to say it's up to the people to play the speeches of Martin Luther King. It's not up to the committee, but it's up to the people that participate in the parade to make sure the speeches are played so that they can be heard and it can be more than just a party atmosphere, but and it has to be something dealing with services and other things that Martin Luther King stood for on that particular day.
I do want to add at each of our events in Santa Rosa County, we were collecting canned foods as well to help replenish the local food banks at the churches nearby for our service project.
What about yourself? How do you spend the day?
Well, I generally march with Pensacola Movement for Change and Mr. McIntosh and them, but I put in to have that first half of the day off on that Monday, and they didn't get back with me. Then when I showed up for work, they said that it was approved, so I didn't get a chance to participate in it, but I was there in spirit.
Yeah, well, I would say for us, we were among. Mr. McIntosh didn't have to rub in the fact that he was in the beginning of the parade and over and done with while those of us in the back of the parade were still waiting to move. At 12 o'clock, we were still sitting there. I absolutely can attest to that. We had not moved at that point in time. To the testament of how large the parade was indeed, in fact. I'm thankful to have spent the day and like you guys, thank you to Cheryl Moraine, one of our co-hosts at that time, from time to time, and Mike Keenan over the MLK CCC group for putting on such a phenomenal weekend of events. Props to you and your committee members for doing so and getting involved. This year, the parade indeed, in fact, was long. But I think well worth it and very well attended, and then the prayer breakfast, was that they had that Saturday was also the Saturday prior to MLK was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know too much about how I felt about some folks not being in attendance when they, when they're on the main dais. I understand they gave rationales. I don't know how much I believe it, but it is what it is. I'll leave it at that. But I think the event was very well put on and very well attended, and I thoroughly enjoyed the march. And I will say for I want to thank the Democrats and those who came out to walk and march with the Democrats, and those who asked about voting and registered their voting and volunteering from the sidelines in the parade. And I will say for myself personally, I was quite pleased and proud because this year was our largest group of walkers and riders and people who participated and engaged. I mean, we had babies and strollers, we had little kids walking with us, and so it was a proud moment to see it, and I'm happy for it, and I'm thankful for it. You know, the good thing. I just hope we just continue along in that progress. Since I know I hated that some of our main staples, Sarah, Joe, I hated that you guys weren't there. We missed you in spirit, but we know that you were there with us in spirit. But it was just a great event. So in a great week, in a great weekend, and I look forward to it. But we moved to the next day, and then it just with the Iowa caucuses and all the craziness that broke out. And with that, I just wanted to share and get you all's feedback on what you thought about some of the things that came out of that. So we saw the caucus, and I don't know if anybody watched it, but you know, just watching was interesting in and of itself. And seeing these Republican candidates beg and plead, and having, you know, all the while, you know, they're getting up there and having their conversations, and then Trump sends his surrogates up there to talk about much of nothing, and then the crowd goes wild. But there were some polls, and I know, Bill, you don't like polls, and we talk about polls a lot, but I want to just share 3 facts that came out of polling through the Iowa caucus, and that was done. And I want to get your feedback on it. And the first of which was, and this is their polling results, that 81% of members of the Republican Party, which includes not only their electeds, but people who also vote or registered Republican, believe that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. There's another poll that they released that 66% of Republicans believe that Joe Biden isn't the legitimate winner of the election that took place in 2020. And lastly, and what even more troubling was that 63% of people polled believe that if Trump is convicted of any of the crimes that he's standing trial for right now, he would still be fit to become president.
Those are our polls, correct? Those are our polls.
Yeah, no.
National.
Well, they were national polls that they released during the Iowa caucus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really deep. Go ahead, Jill.
So what I would say is, as awful as that is, are you really surprised? Because I'm not. They're voting for Trump. So all of that you just said is exactly what he stands for. It's exactly what his rhetoric is. It's exactly what he believes. It's exactly what he preaches. And so, yes, if you're indoctrinated into the Trump way of life, then absolutely, you're going to say absolutely. I mean, I'm not shocked. It's ridiculous. It's I can't understand the process, but knowing who he is, knowing what he believes, that is exactly what he believes, and they want him to be president. So absolutely, that would be what they would poll.
He did preempt it with Republicans polled. So you're absolutely right, Jill. I agree wholeheartedly. Now, we have to remember that in Iowa, they make this big deal of him getting 50% of the vote. So there's this anomaly here, because you got to figure 40% went to 2 other candidates. I'm telling you guys, Iowa is Iowa. They say that New Hampshire generally cleans up the mess that Iowa made, but this guy, that's who they are. That's what they believe. Man, they're about to oust Mike Johnson already for him trying to put a deal together with the Biden and the few Dems that are willing to get this thing passed. So they are just in disarray, and I don't believe that his candidacy is as strong as the polling and the nation puts it out to be. I contend that it's subliminal, and we keep hearing this poll stuff on purpose. They get us disenfranchised, and it will work for some of us to not even show up. We can't win, they'll say, but I don't believe it's. I don't see it.
Well, MSNBC, I think it was MSNBC, one of the stations I was watching. They said only 5% of the people turned out in Iowa.
Well, the weather.
Yeah, only 5%, but out of that 5%, he won supposedly 50% of the vote. But that's saying to me that there 95% of the people didn't bother to even come out or even participate, and that shows to me that they are dissatisfied with what they were dealing with. If you only get 5% of the turnout,
good point.
So that is not a whole lot to hang your hat on if only 5% of the people turned out.
They don't report that too much. They don't talk about that as much.
No, they don't. I mean, that's just a snapshot to me of what Trump might be getting around the country.
I agree.
That dissatisfied with him, that they didn't even bother to caucus, or and they saying he's running over Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, but I mean it's not as much. If the people are not turning out in either state, and only a small amount is turning out, of course he's going to more than likely win. But I wonder what the turnout is going to be overall in New Hampshire, whether it be 5 or 10, maybe 20%.
And we cannot blame it on the weather, because I see football stadiums mile high in snow, and the folk are there with their shirts off, so they can't blame it on the weather.
So I would say the rhetoric, what Jill said, not surprised, but I guess, Derek, you're saying this was a national poll, right? This wasn't just in Iowa.
Yeah,
Okay, so this was a national poll. The fact that so many people are okay with saying their xenophobia and their hatred out loud is scary to me. Every time I hear it, it pierces me in a way that I can't express well. And the fact that how far back we're moving, and how easily people are just spewing their hatred is just absolutely appalling. And they're saying it without remorse. They're saying it without regret. They're proud to say it. It's concerning when so many people are turning, I love my podcast and I love listening to all my different stuff, but when so many people are turning to not accurate forms of information just to fuel that hatred, that is really concerning to me, and where we are headed as a nation.
Are we really moving back, Christina, or has it been there all along? I mean,
it's been there all along. I mean,
we're not moving back.
It's been there all along.
It is what it is.
Well, the thing about it, you didn't have laws backing up ignorance as you do now. They are making laws to back up ignorance, and and that's unfortunate, because now you got a Supreme Court that's giving power to wicked ideology not based in law. So that's going to devastate the country. And and already you got people out here talking about it's going to be violence in the election in 2024 if Trump don't get his way and all of that. It's so much going on, and you got these courts. It's a few courts trying to hold up the law, but there are others that are overturning what the lower courts are trying to do. Go ahead, Jill.
So I think, Bill, you might agree with me, but I'm gonna ask a question. So we know this was already there. Was it that, so, I don't know how to really say this. I'm just gonna say it, and if I'm wrong, y'all can say I'm wrong. But I feel like we're shocked over this, and we're so upset, and they're passing laws, but they didn't need the laws passed, so they're not impacting them because they already felt that way. So it's tragic for us that there are laws being passed saying this is okay. But as soon as Trump took office, they didn't care about any laws. They didn't need the laws. The laws are almost like fan and fuel just to give us something else so they can trick us into something else while we're over here fighting this and fighting this and fighting this. They're just doing what they already do. I always felt like Trump just, everybody was told you have to get along, kind of like Derek said. Everybody has to get along, and they were forced to get along. And then Trump came along and he said, no, you don't. Call them whatever you want, say whatever you want, do whatever you want. And they went, oh, let's exhale. You mean we could just be us? We can just be who we are. And now they're who they are. They don't, the reason some of them don't even realize it is because it's just who they are. And he says it's okay, and they're watching it, and they're living it, and they're believing it. So as shocked as we are, they're shocked that we don't realize that's who they were all along.
Exactly. And, one of the things that Martin Luther King talked about, he said, legislation can't make man love me, but it can stop him from lynching me. And so that's what I'm talking about. Those laws that has been on the book that protected us somewhat are now being decimated and pushed to the side because of ignorant person like Donald Trump, who has no compassion, no concern, not even for the people that support him. Anybody that support him think that he care about them. Something is wrong with them. They got some loose screws somewhere, because this man cares nothing about anybody but himself. And he will turn on anybody that disagree with him or not loyal to what he thinks loyalty all the mean. So really, I'm not shocked about the people. I'm not shocked at all about any of it, but I'm disappointed that the laws are now being gutted and decimated to the point that it won't protect anybody, not even those who think that is not going to hurt them.
This is so much larger than Donald J.
Right, it is.
I keep messing the numbers
Absolutely.
up, but some 78 million people voted for that guy in the last election. This is so much larger than him. I agree wholeheartedly with Jill. This is who they are. We had this false positive, but this is just who America is. It's this superiority, most definitely an inferiority complex, but this superiority and then this mixed dumbing down the blood of man. This is who America is, man. Donald Trump is just the figurehead, but when you get that many million people for the second time, the first go okay, but when it doesn't surprise me. I did think that America had come a long way, but man, oh man.
So last night, we were listening to some of the speeches, and it was Jill. It was something Jill said, and it has stuck with me even to a day. Folks were talking about how in Florida, the Republican legislature is dismantling public education, is completely demolishing diversity and inclusion across the state. And Jill made a statement, and she said, all the while protecting Confederate monuments.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that stood with me.
Well, legislation and the laws being passed, this, that, and the other, man, the law has never worked for us. So
Well, it has in some, in some, sometime it did work. On a national scale, it worked some, but now you're talking about laws that are being passed, and in states all over the country. And the Supreme Court is backing these laws up, and that's the danger of it. I think it might have been James Baldwin that says ignorance aligned with power is one of the most dangerous things in the world. So, we are looking at ignorance aligned with power now, and people are loving ignorance over, intelligence and intellect now. So, and they are rolling with that.
Chip, we got legislators at the highest levels of government that doesn't believe that there should be a Justice in Policing Act, man.
Exactly. Exactly.
So do we think that, I have a question, because in 2016, when Trump and Hillary ran and the nation, well, the United States was split. I mean, literally was almost split down the middle. I thought then we would wake up to realize that it really, I mean, obviously we would have rather Hillary won because she won the popular vote. That it should have showed us that there was a bigger issue at hand, because it literally was split. Half of the people believed his, and then it was really rhetoric. Like now it's promises. Then it was rhetoric. It was just him talking, throwing things out. He never planned to win. He had his resignation speech written. He never planned to win. That's he just came in. It was a game. But if we look back then and then even look forward, this was and this is why I wish there was a way that we could be more proactive, because it was written. It was fully written in 2016 that this country was turning, maybe like Bill and I are saying, to the reality of what really was there. But what we knew for sure is that half of the people wanted saneness and Hillary, and half of the people really said okay. And the numbers are just growing because they're allowed, they don't have to follow, they can do whatever they want to do. They can say whatever they want to say. They don't have to, they can twist your words, Derek, and say, I don't have to like you. But also, I don't have to like you. I don't have to give you respect. I don't have to this, I don't have to that. They like that. And that's not what Derek was saying, but I'm saying that's what they like. And the more they like it, the more momentum they get, because there's less, even if we have laws and regulations, who's going to enforce them? He's made it very clear that if he wins, all bets, I don't care if we have every law passed right now, if he gets in office, they will go away. We'll be lucky if he doesn't change the laws to state that he gets to be president for forever. If he could change the Constitution and change it all, he will do it. Just
total immunity is what he's running on. Total immunity.
So I don't know. I feel like we maybe we could have done something, but now we're where we are, and we have to be as proactive. I just want a plan B, and plan A is vote by mail, but I need a plan B, so that should we be in a situation that it's more difficult than it is right now, because I'm not going to even put that out in the universe, what are we going to do? So I think we fight. I just don't believe in it being oops, Bill, guess what happened? You know what I mean? I don't want to wake up on November 5th and be without a plan. Whether that's because we absolutely know Biden and Kamala are the president, but you will absolutely know that there will be 49% of people who don't want them there, and we need to be prepared. Or in a catastrophic, horrific situation that it's the other way, we know we got to protect each other, that we have to live. What does that look like? I don't want to wake up on November 6th and have to come up with the plan then. So what do we do to make sure that we're ready for whatever it is?
Pray for really, really bad weather on November 4th, because by the polls, the Dems have vote by mail on lock, but the Republicans don't trust it to their own making. They don't trust it. Their people don't trust it. And they're saying, they don't talk much about this, but they don't really believe in the vote by mail. We've won elections with the mail-in ballots. We believe in it. And when all is said and done, that's what has gotten us over the last couple of times. But the Republicans don't believe in it as a whole.
Maybe now, but that wasn't the case prior to 2016.
Well, that's my point.
Republicans were all over vote by mail.
Here's the thing, but that's what he ran on. Remember telling them how crooked it was and dead folk voting and all of that, and now it's in their head. They believed him to his detriment. He lost the last election because he was setting it up all alone.
Yeah,
I would love to believe that. I have a difficult time believing even, and I know they didn't come out in Iowa because it was whatever degrees and whatever. Part of that, I feel like they felt like, what, you know, I hope it's what Jerry said, but I also believe on the other side that it was just, he's going to win anyway, so who cares?
Well,
but this way, this is what I would say to what you just said. If there's bad weather, you know who's not coming? No, I'm not going to say this. Don't be mad, Derek and Christina. Turn your ears and eyes away because
Don't say it. Don't say it.
No, we don't. We got 50 million complaints anyway. So we're going to sit at home, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to ring the bell. And if they say they need 1 million people to go vote, I guarantee you they'll go vote. If we say it, then we'll still be counting. Well, Derek's going to go so I can stay home. Christina got it. Jerry, you got it because I'm staying home. You know?
Look, if both sides stay home, at least we'll be done our mail-in vote ballots. If both sides stay at home, we believe in the mail-in, so we'll win.
So, Bill, what I will say is we do believe in mail-in voting. And we need everybody to go in. And if you haven't registered to vote by mail, please remember DeSantis stopped everyone's vote by mail. So if you have not registered to vote by mail, need you to go and register to vote by mail so that you have a backup plan. If you love to go in person, I totally understand. I want you to go in person, but I also want you to have a backup plan. So please, please, please sign up for vote by mail so that you get every ballot that's going to come through for the rest of the year.
And I just want to add to that, Derek, is just don't make it your backup plan. I'd much rather it be your first plan. And then if you can go. If the weather's great, go. If you want to go early, go early. If you want to go the day of, go. But just in case you cannot go, you have your plan. Your plan, if we did it that way, you'd get more people. Your plan should be vote by mail.
And Bill, I would agree with you with the exception that, except for that, to Jill and Christina's point, they ended everybody who voted by mail in 2022, and they needed, or the end of, in 2022. So everybody needs to sign up. There are still, as we are having these conversations today, every time I speak, the most recent time I addressed this was the Jubilee service on January 1st. There were still a church full of people who did not realize that they weren't able to vote by mail, even though they had in the past. And I want to take it a step further. We need to be prepared to go vote, because right now, and I'm quite confident that next week we'll talk about this more in depth, as we'll have folks here that will be able to expound upon it from a legislative standpoint. But right now, there's a bill, Senate Bill 1752, where they are trying to remove our ability to vote by mail in the state of Florida. So we're pushing something that very well they're fighting right now to try to take away from us. So even though we have it now, I don't know that we'll have it when we go, when it's time for the primary and then further down the road to the general election. And you have to look at this for two measures. Like right now, and this is just my opinion, this is the Republican alternative to ensuring that the reproductive amendment does not pass on 2024, should it be on the ballot, because they won't be able to have the vote by mail count, and furthermore, to make sure that Democrats aren't able to cast their ballots for this anti-black, this anti-LGBT, this pro-whitewashing of history Republican regime. This is what it's set up to do. So we've got to ensure right now that as many people sign up while they can, while supplies last, as I'll say it that way, and be prepared to go out and vote. That's what it's going to come down to. We're going to have to be uncomfortable for the day or the 2 days and go out to vote, because again, your life is going to depend on it. Your absolute life. And I don't mean that hyperbolically. I don't mean it to sound draconian. I don't mean it to be, he's just kidding.
No.
You might wake up November 9th and he says, all descendants of slavery and therefore, or descendants of the transatlantic slave trade have to work at no wages paid. Know what you gonna do? What you gonna do then? And you be like, well, wait a minute, he gave us a Trump check. He gave us a check back in 2021. He gave me some money during pandemic. What? Now I gotta work for free. We tried to tell you. We've been trying to tell you. So that's the message that we have to get out to folks to be prepared to do.
And the thing about it,
I think, Derek, and we'll have to ask House Leader Driscoll next week, but I thought that for the vote by mail specifically, if they pass it, that it doesn't go into effect till the next year because the process is already in place. So
Well,
like we had the preferential, I'm not giving that as an excuse. I'm just saying if that's the case, it would be difficult.
Do you think that they're going to let, it might be for the presidential preference primary, but for the August primary and
that's what I was told. And like I said, that's what I was told. So the best person to answer that's why we're having her next week is House Leader Driscoll, and she can share. But those are questions that we need answered. But I think we do both. I think what you said is right. I think what Christina said is right. Vote by mail. What Derek said is right. Go vote. You can vote early. You don't have to vote the day of. So you usually have those days before. That we just need to do everything possible.
Right.
Everything possible.
So Gia, want y'all tell them one more time who's going to be here next week.
Okay. So House Leader Fentress Driscoll will be joining us next week. She will have the opportunity to share with you exactly how it is to be in that legislative supermajority. She will be able to tell us the hot bills. She'll be able to answer a lot of these questions. So what I would say is if you have questions on the legislative process or any of the bills that you've been hearing about, or you have questions on, be ready so that she can come and we can ask her the questions that need to be asked so that each of us are better informed and then we can share it. But I promise you, first of all, she's absolutely phenomenal. But more so, she's down to earth. She's going to tell you like it is. She doesn't sugarcoat it. And she'll tell you if it's really, really bad, she's going to tell you it's really, really bad. And I would just hope that as many people as possible, this would be one of those that you don't want to miss. You want to be here next Sunday. She's supposed to be here right at 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central time, around that first half of the show. Please, please join us because you will get information. You hear us, but you'll feel it for somebody who's actually on the floor and is the leader trying to keep her her team motivated to move forward. And they often say, I don't know where she gets that positive energy, knowing that you're going to walk in every day and just to a nightmare. So hopefully put it on your calendar now, make the time so that you can be with us next week. I promise you it'll be worth it.
Is explain to everybody what is she in the Senate or in the House? I know I just want to explain.
Christina or Derek.
She is, Ventress Driscoll is the Democratic House leader for the House of Representatives for the state of Florida. So when you think about it, she is the minority leader in this case because we're in a supermajority where Republicans rule in the state of Florida. She is the leader for the Democrats in the House of Representatives. So she is, for those who have not met her, she's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what House district that is, but it is the Polk County area, and that's where she hails, and is a beacon of light for Florida Democrats everywhere. To Jill's point, she keeps it real. She's a straight shooter, but she gives you hope. She's in it and she's fighting with us, and we appreciate House Leader Driscoll for all that she does. So please make sure that you join us next week for that. Call in. You can email us questions if you want to make sure, if you give it some thought, you have questions around things that are going on in the state of Florida that you want us to address. Certainly, please feel free to send them to any one of us, and we can make sure that we get them to you, get those questions answered for you, or you can call in and we'll be happy to do so from that standpoint as well.
Yeah, we definitely.
And she is from the 67th House District in the state. House District 67.
We definitely want people to interact with us next week and tell all your friends too, because this is important. As has been stated, she is dynamic. She's a powerful speaker, and we definitely want everybody to hear what she has to say. And any questions that you think you may have, she more than likely can answer. I'm sure if she can't, she's gonna find them. She can tell you later on how to get the answer to your question. But more than likely, the bills and all of that, because she is a House anointed, she's gonna know just about any question you asked her. So she's that good.
Yeah, and she'll tell us. She's been on as we said, she was on the front line just this very week as Iowa dealt the crushing "you are the loser" card to Ron DeSantis and sent him back to the state of Florida. And what happened? What did he come back and do? He ended diversity, equity, and inclusion. He had the Florida Department of Education ended in the state of Florida, or in funding at the collegiate level. And just so we're clear, for people who think, okay, so he took away sociology classes. All right, why is that critical? That's not just all he did. How D&I affects those of us, particularly Black folks, Hispanic folks, people of color, people in marginalized communities. When you're at university, and I'll use my phenomenal, esteemed alma mater, the University of Florida Go Gators. They have this thing that we have, which is the student union. And that student union houses hundreds of student organizations. Many of them are focused on marginalized and communities of color. The ones that come to mind for me specifically are the Black Student Union, the Haitian CRIPSA, shout out if they're still CRIPSA, still at the University of Florida, those type of organizations, those that are impacted. students who are members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, all of the D9 organizations, people who are members of the Hispanic fraternities and sororities, or members of LGBTQ-based organizations like their student unions. They no longer will receive student activity dollars or funding that is attributed to students to put on programming or do their support structures across the state of Florida. So when you look at, we have coming up Black History Month, they're going to potentially eradicate Black History Month from these universities because there's no dollars put on these programs. If you want your child to pledge, you're sending him to FAMU, or you're sending him to the University of Florida, and you have dreams of them following in your footsteps. That's in jeopardy because they are no longer allowed to do that. Why are you shaking your head, Jill? I'm serious. This is where we are right now.
I get where we are. I'm shaking my head because you were going in such depth and detail, and everything was.
I went into depth and detail.
Let me finish. Was your fraternity and your school? That's why I was shaking my head. So for everybody else, there are other fraternities and other sororities. And
I didn't want to go through all the list. I'm just saying. Yes, everybody.
So I'm sharing. Gave a whole Derek Scott. University of Florida.
So I'm just saying.
So to the Kappas, the Omegas, to everybody.
Everybody. I said all of the D9 organizations.
You are everybody.
Rep your school, man. Rep your school.
There you go.
He was, and all I did was shake my head. He should have just let my head shake. I didn't say anything. I was quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's but you know, those are the things. What I'm trying to do with that is drive home how it impacts us as we live on a day-to-day. Why you don't think that it does, it absolutely does. And she's been on the front line fighting this, which is where I was going with this. She was on the front lines fighting for us, and thank you, I appreciate it, wrapping it back up. And now we have the opportunity to hear from us. And just like, and I will say, and I think, I don't know if you made this point, Jill, I've forgotten already, or Christina, but we were watching MSNBC today when we got back, and I saw my lovely chair of the Florida Democratic Party, Nikki Fried, saying that we done our part to get this in, and all true. We appreciate that, but I see that as now Ron DeSantis going like, okay, you're taking credit for it now. We're going to make sure y'all suffer. So we're going to have some work, and we're going to have to do it. So we have to get as many people involved and engaged in fighting as possible. So yes, come out and hear from her. Make sure you're there.
I just want to add for Leader Fentress Driscoll that she's the first Black woman to serve in the role of House Democratic Leader in the Florida legislature. She's a lawyer. She actually testified against Ron DeSantis in the Florida Supreme Court. I believe it was on the gerrymandering, but I'll let her speak to that when she comes. But she is just incredible. Derek, what you were talking about was so impactful. When I was thinking about getting rid of the sociology classes, I was thinking that is actually one of the first classes you take in college that actually goes over racism, like the actual definition in depth of racism that actually looks at how past impacts future, impacts present, and where we go from there. So I really believed that's where he was going also, and cutting out sociology, because that's where we get really our first, at least for me, it's the first class that I was able to take that actually went into depth on those issues, and looked at a myriad of different ethnicities and backgrounds and races and how that all impacts here in the United States. And you can even take it further and globally. It is just, what he's doing is just detrimental. It's detrimental to education. It's detrimental to our children. It's detrimental to our families. It's a slap in the face to us and our ancestors.
Mm.
And he's just getting started now. Hopefully, the law the legislators won't change the law so that he can run again, because that's what I'm afraid of. And they have the potential to do it because they have a supermajority in the legislation. So it is up to us to try to get much of information out as possible. We hope that after we get Representative Drexel, House Minority Leader, that we will get all of the rest of, we will be trying at least to get some of the others to come on, because we want to do this the whole year, because this is the election year, and it's incumbent upon us to try to get as much information out as possible. And hopefully people will join us in making sure that that information is spreaded, and that they will like and share these shows and programs. I know that, people will still watch after we are off, because some people still call me on a Wednesday night or on a Thursday night, calling in. They thinking they calling into the show. I'm like, no, it's a rerun. We're way back on Sunday. You can call us Sunday. But just in case you're watching and you want to call, don't call during the week. We're on Sunday. But I'm going to tell you real nicely. Following Sunday, like I had to do last night, as a matter of fact, at about 1 o'clock. Y'all still on the air? I'm like, no.
No.
but I hope that person is watching tonight. They call. I told them what time we would be on, how to get to the show and all. And then I went back to sleep. I tried anyway.
You got to turn your ringer off, Jerry.
Yeah, I know. I like to keep it on just in case something.
Just in case.
Something come up. Got relatives around the country. I like to make sure that I can, they can contact me and I can contact them.
Yeah, 2 a.m, though, man.
Yeah, I know. Carol used to.
And can I just...
Carol used to say what, Jerry?
Carol used to be like really perturbed when somebody called.
I don't blame her.
I guess I'm a little bit more lenient with people. But go ahead, Derek.
No, I just wanted to say, to make sure as we continue on our journey of knowledge and learning, for those who are in the state of Florida, and certainly within the Panhandle, on February the 7th, I think it's 7th, right? Yeah. We will do Equal Ground, one of the organizations that you see people in the Panhandle partnering with, is going to have a day at the Capitol. And this is a great opportunity if you want to learn more, meet some of the other legislative folk delegation that are representing you as a constituent in Northwest Florida, or if you're in Florida somewhere and you hear us that far, that's a great opportunity to get engaged and be involved. We will be traveling down that same day, early that morning, and coming back that same day. So it's a great opportunity to do so. As we get more information, we'll be sharing it with you and telling you about ways that you can get engaged and become involved and travel and learn more about it, and even be with the co-host as we participate in an Equal Ground Day at the Capitol.
Our time is about up. I want to read some from Michael Eric Dyson's book, Tears We Cannot Stop. Tears We Cannot Stop by Michael Eric Dyson. And it's on the last page. It said, "Oh God, the hour is dark. The suffering is great, but we will not give up. We will not surrender. We will not surrender because we have endured the lashes of spite and the whip of hate on our backs. We will not surrender because we know that faith is greater than fear. Good triumphs over evil. Love more noble than hate. We will not surrender because our mothers and our fathers and their mothers and their fathers and their mothers and their fathers and their mothers and their fathers too believed in you, believed in us, believed that no obstacle put in the way could stop them. They believed that the grace you gave them for the journey would outlast any challenge to their hearts and minds. We will not surrender because you endured the indestructible words, feed the soul of our people. We will not surrender because Blackness is a gift that has blessed the whole world beyond compare. Our minds and our hearts and our tongues and bodies too have made earth a better place to live. We will not surrender because we have survived. Oh God, we are not naive. We know, just as white America knows, that our legion multiplies, complicated, and triumphant Black threatens whiteness. Oh God, you place a paradox in our midst like a rainbow at the end of a storm. If we are to understand America, we must understand Blackness. And I thought that was a deep statement to make. And I got, it's 9 o'clock already. So, Derek, I'm handing it back to you.
Well, on behalf of all the co-hosts of Our Voices, it's been a great evening. We thank you for tuning in with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week, same time on the 28th at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Thanks for tuning in and have a wonderful evening. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Right.